Now, think about this for a second. Your daughter, sister, or friend goes to university to further her education, and a lecturer demands sex from her before she can pass her exams and graduate from school. Think about that for a second. What would you do? This is happening all across the continent, and it must stop now. This is the 77%, and as you realized, we are going to be talking about sex for grades. It's happening all across the continent, and we should talk about it. I say we because I'm not doing the talking alone. Let me introduce my guest for today.
My name is Tracy Kariuki and I'm a student. I believe that sex for grades should be a discussion involving both men and women. It's just not a topic for women to delve in, but also for men to realize that they have also a stronger roles in speaking against this topic.
I am Zaharaddeen Umar from Kaduna, Northern Nigeria. I believe sex for grade is immoral. Our ladies, our young women should fight it with their brain, not with their body.
I am Mimi Mefo, journalist at DW from Cameroon. Do not fight against sexual harassment because you are a victim. Do so because it is wrong.
Okay, so you've seen my two ladies and the gentleman. So let's set the ball rolling, shall we? So we keep talking about sex for grades happening in universities across the continent. What is breeding this culture that seemingly doesn't ever end?
One of the reasons why this phenomenon is growing is because of silence. The victims do not want to speak out. Before coming here, I spoke to a good number of ladies. They are in the universities. They would simply tell you, we are all victims, but they will not want to tell you their stories because they are scared. Another problem is the society. The society would either shame you or say you're trying to ridicule the institution or the country and that you're not supposed to be speaking. You're the one who seduced the lecturer and this and that. That is one of the problems because these girls don't want to speak out because of what the society would say to them. So these are some of the factors. They might be telling you more on that.
Well, hopefully we can get more because I feel like we've been talking about it since Adam, but is it really stopping?
No, it's not stopping. And one of the factors that's breeding this, I'd like to pick up from where Mimi left off, and it's this mindset of submission to authority, and whatever authority brings, you're not supposed to question. And so most young girls feel compelled to submit to this culture without question, without thinking, I should be able to critically speak out about such aspects, and consequently leading to silence and a lot of stigma.
So how didn't come in here?
Yeah, we have a growing culture of laziness among young women in the universities.
So laziness on the part of the young women.
Yeah.
I saw Tracy look at you in a certain way, and maybe also.
Yeah.
So you have to. I think you have to be careful the next words. Just saying. Just
Yeah, because
I even
Dr.
turn my full body.
because you know, women are lagging behind. They always want to rely on a female male colleague or male student to assist them to do assignment, to do whatever. And then here you are, there's a lecturer who is alpha and omega who will give the marks.
I see that
So if
But you're saying all ladies. Are you saying all ladies or some?
I'm not saying all ladies.
You say sometimes that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in some instances, because I saw these instances that women, some of them, they don't want to read hard, because if you read hard, for example, and then the lecturer continue to say, you have to submit to my demand, you can report him or you can post on social media to say that there is no, you can do that. But they don't want to report, they don't want to do that because they know the reason why they are seducing the lecturers sometimes.
Tracy, you seem to have a quick one on that one.
Exactly, because if that wasn't an option, then there is no scapegoat to not meeting the requirements of the program or to not meeting the requirements of the course. I know that to be able to get to an institution of higher learning, you must have met the requirements even in secondary school level. So we're not speaking about girls who are incapable of meeting the requirements of the course.
Yeah, they have
But-
met the
Let
requirement.
But
her
remember, these girls are in a position whereby they are at an inferior level, where they have to at least listen to what, because as you say, the professor is in a position of alpha and
alpha and
omega.
omega.
Yeah, remember,
and
but
of
remember,
course,
we are talking about high institution. We are not talking about secondary school or
yes,
primary school.
no, we're not talking
You are
about that.
matured, you are adult, you know you are right, you know you
Yes,
are left.
But
so you can,
just within the position of power makes everything under blurry lines, because this is an abuse of power. This is somebody saying, you give me this, I give you that. Because if it wasn't if that wasn't the case, then it wouldn't have been an option.
Will you agree with me that some of the women don't want to read?
That is
No,
not even an
that's
issue. It's
for
not
professors.
even.
It's not
an
And
issue.
to pick up
Quick
on
one,
what
Mimi.
Tracy just said, most of this you can fail an exam. You might not succeed, but we have receipt examinations.
Yeah.
If you cannot catch up, you can catch up in the receipt. There's no excuse for a lecturer giving conditions to a student that for you to move from one stage to another in the university, you have to give me sex. It's
Were you trying to make an
unacceptable.
excuse, Zaharaddeen?
No, I'm not trying to make excuses.
Because you said the women
It
are
is
lazy. That
condemnable.
was your
The act
point,
is
that the women
condemnable. We
are
have to
lazy.
condemn it,
Wrong.
but
We're saying this is obviously a problem that exists. Zaharaddeen, you agree that it's a problem that exists.
course, of
However, Zaharaddeen's point was also that, on the other hand, this is also what some ladies are doing, taking advantage of this situation and getting grades for something that they may not have deserved. It's his point, not my point. But that's basically the point you want to make,
That's
right?
my point.
Okay, so the thing is, we went to Uganda. My producer and I worked out getting some Fox Pops comments from some students at the Makerere University in Uganda on what they believe is the cause for sex for grades. Take a listen.
The thing of sex for marks has really inhibited the system quite a lot. Why? Because everyone wants marks. Everyone wants to be successful. We all want to take back reports to our parents and be like, we've made it in life. But then you want to know how we do it? We don't try the straight path. We go for the shortcut, which is sex for marks.
There are also those girls who themselves feel if they do not read, they will definitely do such a thing to earn marks. So this one goes to the students themselves, especially the girls. Let them take serious of their studies and let them also note down that it is good if they give themselves that dignity and respect.
Maybe you have issues with your tuition, you have other issues. You know, girls, you have a lot of issues. So when you get this lecturer who is willing to give you marks and then ask for sex, okay, you wouldn't find it something so important that you can't do to earn your future or your education, especially for the girl child, because we have, okay, what everyone would want.
Interesting comments from the students there. First student basically agreeing with what Zaharaddeen was saying. Then the other student basically saying that she kind of understands because women have what everybody wants. We didn't get into details with that, but I mean, I'm going to start the first comment from you, Tracy. What do you make of their comments?
This just feeds into what culturally they've been presented to, knowing that they're always at a point where they have to use their bodies as an object or as a point of deriving favor. So it speaks to a lot of cultural injustices that have been used to make women think that they can be able to use their bodies for these favors aside from using their brains. And that is utter, I don't even have a word for it. I'm completely speechless because
We'll let you gain your speech, and then we'll come back. But what do you want to add to that?
We said this earlier, the society kinds of trivializes this whole issue, makes it look like it's no big deal. It's happening to the women because they are not the victim here. But when you get to talk to the women, when you when you are face to face to somebody who has been a victim of this, and then you understand that this is a big issue and should be handled with a lot of seriousness. You might be having a daughter at home, a wife or even a sister at home who is going through sexual harassment, and you might not know because the society has this whole notion that they are all playing victims and they don't want to read, they don't want to write.
We know there's different types of it. We know ladies are suffering, and as Mimi said, we cannot play that down at all. A lot of ladies do not want to do that. Lecturers are forcing them to do that, and sometimes they are forced because they want to pass also, So, and this is exactly the thing that we want to stop. Zaharaddeen, quick one from you, then we go into solutions.
there was a student, female student, who was best in our class. There was a lecturer who was trying to convince her to agree to have sex with him. Then she refused. She stood by her foot and she said no. At the end of the day, he couldn't achieve what he wanted. So if the women will read hard, and then when they see this kind of threat from lecturers, they report it to appropriate authorities in the schools.
Well, that's easier said, obviously, than done, because sometimes you do that, attention is drawn, and nothing really happens, which really takes us straight into talking about solutions here.
So what my huge concern is, especially with this debate, is normalizing the issue about sex for grades, making it look like normal, that it's normal for a professor to ask for these favors, or it's normal for a student to grant these favors for grades. And one of the solutions that I would definitely recommend is have a very high level of awareness and also have forums that people speak about it.
Okay, a channel for reporting this.
If we have powerful legal frameworks that can help women to speak out and make the process easier, I think this would stop.
Okay.
And we should also be able to speak out and denounce this. We have so many gender promoters in our community, feminists and even human rights lawyers, especially the women. Let us speak to them and tell them our problems.
Okay. Couldn't have said it better. Aside the fact that students should not be lazy, what else?
She proposed that we have forum in universities that discuss about this sexual harassment.
Yes.
I want to see that proposed forum talking about how women will be encouraged to read more and more, to educate them on how they can fight sexual harassment, because if they are equipped, I mean, when they know they can pass the exam, they will not allow any lecturer to attempt them to make them to pass his personal exam rather than the university exam.
It's not.
Yeah, the whole point is whether someone is studying or not should
yes.
not give the lecturer the
Of
rights
course,
to
of
approach
course,
and say,
of
yeah, because
course.
you're not that
Yes.
doing that well,
course.
do this
You know
before I
the
pass
challenge-
you.
you know the
I think the
challenges-
mark-
Guys, let's go to an expert, because yeah, this is exactly how it happens on the 77%. Zaharaddeen, I said Zaharaddeen. I said we're moving on. Thank you. So we've already heard some solutions from the panel here. Now let's go out there and let's find out what solutions people have in their minds of how to actually nib this in the bud.
I think there should be a law which should be enforced, in that in case anyone is found like a victim, there should be some punishment that that person should go through, in that in case some other lecturers are to do it, they know the implications about it.
A bit of the whole thing is what you call whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is where people need to come out and speak about this. But when you keep quiet and keep on doing it, then how can we attain a solution?
I think the first thing we need to do as a society is to prepare our students for university life, because a lot of them come from, very innocent backgrounds. You just finished high school, you're excited about going to major universities, which are in big cities and things like that. And when they come into this environment unprepared, and when I talk about preparing, I mean, are they being told about what to expect when they get there?
Is it that easy with all these solutions to just do it and that really solves the problem?
We have to first of all know, as women, victims of this circumstance, what sexual harassment is all about. It's when you are being addressed inappropriately, being sent messages or calls at wrong hours, odd hours, when the opposite partner thinks that for you to get favors or promotion, you have to give sex in exchange. It's difficult to fight it because of the silence that we talked about, that inability to speak out when you are faced in such a situation. Zaharaddeen was talking about girls that are lazy in their classrooms, and others are intelligent and they should be able to talk to officials when they are faced with sexual harassment. What about boys too that are lazy in their classrooms?
I also believe sexual harassment is wrong, is condemnable,
Thank you.
is devilish, and is dangerous to our educational system.
So you have to stop.
But I am also saying that we have to equip our women in such a way they can confront the lecturers to say, no, you want my body? No, my body is not for your grade or for your mark.
Another multi-layer is what happens when the student consents, because then again it doesn't come out as termed as rape, because it's not exactly a rape case.
Yeah, that was
but
my concern.
yeah, that's what
It
I was
was not a
saying.
rape.
How can I say no to an authority? Because you have this underlining hierarchical structure that this is the demigod professor and then this is where I am, and I cannot refute, I cannot say no. So the consent,
Listen.
that is not conscious consent, is consent coming from the abuse of power. It's like manipulation. If I tell you, bring your phone, and I have a gun on your face, is that actually you giving me your phone? It's manipulation, and it's the same thing.
No. When you tell a student that for you to pass an exam, you have to have sex with me, that is a condition you are giving. It's like a ransom that the student has to pay for.
That your body is not equivalent to his marks.
But when you are the lecturer and you have that power, I don't have the choice as a student to say no. But it's wrong.
It is wrong, yes.
But you have the chance to tell your boyfriend that you don't want that, you don't want to that.
The thing is this.
My name is Crispin Makideo. I am a parent. I'm the one who get crushed.
Yes.
When you have a situation where a lecturer, a boss, anyone of that matter who's in authority, asks a lady for sex and the lady consents, I think, yes, he is responsible, but the ladies also have a role to play. So if you take that offer and you know, okay, I'm with this guy, he's going to take me on top.
But is that correct? Is that correct? To give that kind of condition for somebody to be at the top. Is it correct?
No, but you cannot blame, we cannot just blame the guy only.
We are blaming that environment. We are blaming that environment and also the perpetrator. That environment that says we give you favor in exchange of your body. We are blaming that.
That's what we're complaining about.
That's what we're shunning.
That kind of change is not easy to change.
What do you mean by
But we have to change it.
No, if we are being realistic, it's not easy to change. We still live in a male-dominated society. Of course, this is completely wrong. It's immoral, it's wrong of the guy to ask. But if she says yes, if she goes ahead and does it...
Well, if she says no and fails her exams...
That is the problem. That's the problem I have with consent. That's the problem I have with consent.
And sometimes they say yes, but they are forced. Anyway, you know what? Step out. We didn't even invite this guy.
That's the problem I have.
Came out of nowhere.
Yes, that's the problem I have with consent.
Guys, I think altogether, guys, what you're listening to and watching is very varied opinions, and depending on what angle you want to look at, points are being made. What is the best way to find the evidence to prove your point if you're reporting a sexual harassment case?
We have recording devices. As journalists, we have so many tools that we could use.
If you're a journalist, what if you're a student? If you're a student?
We have mobile phones. We have phones. We have...
Okay, Tracy.
Yes, but I'm just thinking about what special units are there to actually report this case, because I'm thinking of a 21-year-old or 22-year-old who's not brave to record this on telephone, but is a little brave enough to go and tell another female teacher, I'm experiencing this. So sometimes it might not be hard physical evidence that's recorded, but actually having a special unit that can listen to these cases.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, let's try to wrap this up. And I think that there's other possible ways of trying to gather enough evidence or trying to find solutions to this. Sometimes it's as simple as having a lot of people on a WhatsApp group, or trying to find some religious leader, maybe someone respectable in society to maybe talk constantly to about these. So these are possible solutions. It's difficult, as we all agree. Yes. It's difficult to actually find a very direct, caught red-handed sort of evidence. We want to go to Makerere University in Uganda. So we spoke to one lecturer, and this is what he had to say to other male lecturers that do this particular act, sex for grades.
You should be held to a higher ethical standard. These are students that look to you for academic knowledge, for mentorship, to learn. Lecturers should desist from that whole conduct of looking at the students as sex objects.
That sounds like a strong warning. Do not see students, female students in universities, as sex objects. Guys, we have to wrap it up.
This show is already something very important to talk about it. We shouldn't stop that debate. The campaign started in 2017 in the US. It continued across the world and also in Africa. The debate should not stop.
Totally, Tracy.
Agreed. Sex for grace is an absolute abuse of power, and I cannot overemphasize this. And then again, going back to the family front, mothers, sisters, talk about this openly, start talking about sex and respect of private boundaries or physical boundaries. And I think giving girls at a young age a voice to say no is the perfect way to start.
Thanks, Tracy. Zaharaddeen.
Yeah, women should continue to read more, make additional effort to protect themselves from these lecturers, and then if you are equipped, if you know you are equal to the task, you can pass the exam, and the lecturer insists that he wants you to give him his body, your body, then you report him to your parent. Then I think they are in the best position to give you advice.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Zaharaddeen from Nigeria, Tracy.
Sorry,
from
one
Kenya.
last thing that I forgot to mention. Sorry, it just came in my mind. Like all this time, we've forgotten about how brothers and other men in the society could actually help this, and sometimes we often leave men out of this discussion. So if you also have a brother or you have any other senior man, because I also come from a home where there's strong men who have supported us women, please keep doing it. Do not shy away from informing other women or informing other girls and letting them know that they do have a voice.
Agreed. Couldn't have said it better. Okay.
Indirectly agree with
So,
you.
I did. Yeah, just
I don't
okay.
indirectly
So guys,
agree with you.
Well, yeah. I mean, the truth is, this topic can go so many different. Guys, you good? All good? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
The debate continues.
It continues
afterwards.
definitely after all of this.
Continue even
Exactly.
after.
Guys, we're wrapping up. I'm sure you have your thoughts, you have comments that you want to share. You know, what do you think is encouraging this culture of sex for grades, and how exactly can we solve it? Drop your comments and we'll be talking about it. Okay? So thanks a lot, guys. And
Thank you.
we will keep doing our best to nip this in the bud. Here we go? Yeah? Okay, let's
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay.